Okay, hello and welcome to video number 4 in my 4-part video series on creating an assignment in Google Classroom. This final one, we're going to look at due dates, rubrics, and feedback, and entering grades as well. So when we look at this sort of angle, like at this point we've created an assignment, we've assigned a point total, we've added supporting material or created new material for it, or brought something forward from a previous Google Classroom you did, whatever. At this point, we're ready to sort of do the assessment piece. So if we look over here at our Google Classroom, this is our dummy Google Classroom. Um, Once again, I'll just touch on the idea that you can create an example assignment. Sorry, we can create an assignment, and in the editing process, this screen here, which we should be familiar with at this point, we can choose the point value. We can also create a rubric to go along with this, which is really kind of cool. The rubric, we can reuse one or import one from Google Sheets, but let's just create one here just to get a feel for it. Again, this just, if you're wanting to have a rubric, it just saves you the steps of having a separate thing that you have to assign and show to students. If I wasn't going to do this, what I would probably do is in Google Classroom, just post my post my rubric right like in that Google Classroom assignment. Maybe it's like a Google document or something like that. But in this case, if you're starting fresh, why not just put your rubric integrated right into the. So anyway, so you can add your criteria and title. So like formatting, whatever, and uh, you know, uh, whatever you wanted to say. And what you can do is create point values. So like, right, and uh, terrible. So, and then you can describe the criteria for each of those. So this is what it would look like. And what you can do is just keep adding more criterion, right? For, as many as you want. And then what you notice here is that this is already keeping a tally of the total point value. So as you create your rubric, it's going to like sort of create that point value and monitor it for you, excuse me. So this is, I would say, a work in progress from Google's perspective. It's not the most beautiful and intuitive interface. So if you're a little bit wary of that kind of thing, I would maybe steer clear of it. But certainly if you want to get into the advanced features on Google Classroom, using a rubric is one of them. So let's just say my really basic rubric here. All right. And so when a student submits something, we can now score it on this rubric, and it's going to show up in their assignment. So that's just one thing, and it's something you can play with. But I wanted to introduce the idea that the rubric feature exists, and that if you're interested in that, you can do it. Like I said, the other way I might approach it is just to add from my Google Drive a rubric. And that way students can just open up and view what my requirements are for a particular project. So there's a couple different ways to provide rubrics, but what the students are not going to have in this rubric here is an interactive process. Like they're not going to see me scoring them on this. They're just going to get a final mark, and they have to sort of refer to this and say, "Oh, I'm betting I lost points because my furnished master bedroom didn't have a bed." Like they're not going to really know. So what's really important and significant about this rubric is that they can actually sort of see it's more interactive and more personal. Okay, so we've talked about points totals and your rubric. Due dates, we've already talked about due dates a little bit. Due dates are great because when you enter a due date, what's beautiful is that, and I'll see if I can show you over here. Let's see if we can choose a student here that. So if you were to view, like, for this particular student, you can see the things that have all been turned in, but what's more significant is that if it was done, yeah, here we go, done late. So that due date has allowed us to see that it was done but done late. So if you penalize students for that, this will help you enforce it because you can see that it was turned in after the due date. So that, and obviously, like, it helps because due dates show up in students' calendars as well. So they get notifications about things being due. But on your end, on the teacher's end, it's helpful for reference. So there's our due date, the impact of having a due date. And the only other thing I wanted to show was entering marks. So let's go back to my housing design class and look at our classwork. And let's look at the housing styles module and look at the students that turned it in. All right. So down the left-hand side here, you can see there's a couple different things. So when we click on Tanea's assignment here, oops, excuse me, what it's going to do, no matter what you click on, pretty much, it's going to take you to this here, which is like a preview of the students' work and everything they submitted. So if they submitted a bunch of things for this assignment, they're all going to appear in this list right here, which is, again, it's a very easy way for you to click through all the different elements that they've completed. You can cycle through your students this way. You can see the ones that are missing, whatever, all the way down through. You can see their content, and you can also give them feedback. So you can type a private comment that only they see and gives them a little bit of information. You can see my feedback that I've given each student here, right, all the way through. And you can also type in a grade. So when we type in a grade, let's pick somebody who didn't do it. So Ian Campbell, he's going to get a 5. So when we assess Mr. Campbell, we're going to be able to do this, and then we can do return. And you see he's checked off, so we're going to say return. We can give him it gives us one last chance to say some feedback and return it. All right. So, again, as an assessment tool, Google Classroom is so wonderful because you've got it, and also you've got this record that you don't have to worry about people saying, "Oh, I didn't hear from you," or "I didn't," it's here, and you can see the date and the time that it happened. And you can also, with a lot of my students, I've sort of running dialogue where they'll say thank you, or what about this, or whatever. So wonderful opportunity. And this is what I'm talking about. When you get to PowerSchool, what's really nice is you can just basically, like, what I do is I have this on one side of my screen and PowerSchool on the other side of my screen. And when we sort them by name, last name, the names are in the same order, and you can just go boom, 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 18, 19, 21, 21, and enter the grades over from your Google Classroom over to PowerSchool. So that's sort of the entering grades and assessment piece here. And I think it sort of covers it. Again, comments are there. So it's a great way to give individualized private feedback to students, and interact with them in that sense. They get a notification when you write that message. So yeah, that's I guess pretty much it. So back to sort of the beginning of this, if you've watched all 4 of these videos, what I would encourage you to do at this point is think of an assignment that you would have wished you had and for this past year, and or that you're going to need for next year, and create that Google assignment. This is an opportunity to Google Classroom assignment. This is an opportunity to practice that. And then if you're successful and you're happy with it, as I showed you in the first video, you can actually pull that assignment out of our test Google Classroom and pull it into your real Google Classroom. So that's about it. Hopefully creating an assignment, this was a helpful video series for you. We will, if you have any questions, just shoot me a message and we'll work you through it. Thanks a lot, and hope you enjoyed.